Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at how one works and one lives in a COVID continuous world. We're going to be taking a look at the living spaces and, of course, the working spaces also. COVID now is something that is going to be with us with various variants, some mild, some not so mild. So we've seen there's been a relook at the way people work, the way people, offices, the office space is being reimagined, and also the living space, because we've noticed initially the real estate sector was hit hard because of there was lockdowns, there was construction halts, but now more and more people are actually looking for their space, their own space to call their own. You don't have to live right next to the office. You can go in for a home that is slightly far away. You can also you are looking for more space in your home, so the money that you would spend on some luxury item, that item is now your home. And of course, what does this impact have on the commercial versus the residential space? Joining me is a panel of experts to discuss this. I have joining me Amit Goyal. He is the CEO at Sotheby's International Realty, India and Sri Lanka. We have Reshmi Khurana. She is managing director and the head of Southeast Asia at Kroll. And Arjun Sodhi, he is a very well-established architect with over 2.5 decades of experience. He specializes in private homes, in heritage conversion projects, and boutique hospitality projects, boutique hotel projects. Sorry. So Arjun, really the ball is in your court, because this show has come out of a conversation that you and I were having in terms of how the real estate is now undergoing a change post-COVID. So can you give us a brief introductory this thing, and then we can get the conversation going?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Priya. It's lovely to be here with such eminent people. I think, COVID made us all pause. It made us think about where we are staying, where we are working. It made us require certain spaces. And we've eventually repurposed it with or without the help of designers or architects or interior designers. The need of the hour was to be able to continue working from home. In a sort of a restricted zones, but still increase productivity, meet targets, etc. Of course, what I'd like to also mention is it doesn't affect everyone. Work from home is not for somebody who's got a physical working environment that they have to move goods or work with construction or work with agricultural products, etc. or are engaged in those fields of industry. The work from home environment hasn't hit in yet at all. It's negligible, actually. It's actually been detrimental with all these restrictions. But I'd like to focus more on, the highly skilled, the highly educated, the more tech savvy, the ones who are trying to increase their productivity using what is known as their industries, where productivity will increase purely because you can spend more time with less mobility, more time to yourself. You can be basically not really wasting time. So I think that this has increased a lot. There's a lot of phone calls, a lot of inquiries we got, a lot of clients called up and said we'd like to repurpose our spaces. Holiday homes actually became into a large area where
But you wanted that second home.
Yeah, and they wanted to go there. They wanted to go out of the confined spaces of the cities and go into more nature. So it was leading people to a better life. I think wellness became important. You were working very hard. Online meetings and calls and etc. do have a very exhaustive effect on your mental abilities, right? And the stress mounts. But you need to go into nature. You need to be able to see far away. You need to be able to find a place for yourself. So very, very importantly, me spaces, as we call them, where you nurture yourself, were at a very high premium within a flat or a home or an estate, whatever it may be. Wherever the environment was, it led to people finding solace for a few part of the day or so to rejuvenate themselves. That's where we are, I think.
You're also looking into the luxury brands, really, in terms of real estate. So has that demand gone up, gone down? How has it impacted your sector? And as Arjun Sodhi said that, you're also bringing out the me spaces. That has that scaled up or scaled down where the luxury segment is concerned?
Well, you're on mute. Amit?
Yes, Priya, indeed, that's the case. We've seen demand going up. We've seen people wanting to go for second homes within the country, drivable distance of 4 to 5, 6 hours. Earlier, we used to see ultra HNIs buying properties overseas, and that was their first sort of objective or the aspiration. But today we've seen Goa market, Alibag market from my Mumbai office, and also Kunur and Rishikesh and Mashobra. These places, inventory really getting picked up very fast. There has been very, very robust demand, and people also are spending a lot of time there. So the amount that they spend now is significantly higher than pre-COVID period.
That's fair enough. Reshmi, they're all talking about holiday homes, but you tell us how it like to be working from home, really, And I find what you do also very fascinating. You do business forensics. That's so has the nature of your work changed if you are working from home vis-a-vis working from the office?
Absolutely. It's been a major shift for our industry. And as Arjun said, anyone who's in the skilled advisory or professional services space. And what I find, how individuals have reacted to work from home depends very much on their seniority in the company, their socioeconomic background, right? So we see a lot of sort of in our busy offices in large cities like Mumbai or Singapore, where homes are smaller and, there are often multi-generational families working in the same room. Someone's working on the dining table, someone's working in the room, and, your sister's working in the other room. There, some of our junior employees have preferred to come back to the office, in fact, because, for them, actually, an office is a respite. And of course, we've done our best to create those office spaces. But on the other hand, there are other young employees who find, the gains in productivity and the saving in time and saving in costs related to travel, meals, etc., far, more than makes up for the inconvenience of working at home. So they're happy going to a coffee shop and working for 6 hours a day. Because they don't need to be face to face. People have also got used to putting their cameras off on on calls. So everyone has adapted very rapidly to work from home. I think the key issue in the workspace today is actually people working too much and an impact of burnout. Because when you're working from home, the one restraint I hear across the board is everyone's working. 14 hours has become an average workday. And I think that's something managers like us have to sort of think about.
Fair enough. That's actually that is the problem, and a lot of people are having, as you said, eye strain. There's no difference between work and home. That's, I think, another stress point that Arjun mentioned. But going back to the concept of demand and design, now what kind of homes are people looking for, Arjun? Are they looking to build an office in their home? Are they also looking, are offices scaling down, I guess, or are they actually building more because of social distancing? You're redesigning the offices.
So, what's happening is that definitely people are wanting workspaces within their home environment. What is happening is that, earlier design used they used to have a demand for, single purpose spaces. Like, if there was a large living room, it was a large living room. It was not really multi-purposed. Now there are people in one zone of that large space already working on something, whereas the other people are sitting, or the family is sitting and relaxing around them. It is become work from home offices for people is a priority now. If somebody is coming in, there are certain areas which are being designed now in new homes. One is, as soon as you enter the quarantine zone for, any items or products coming into the house, that at the lobby or at the service entry, there has to be a place where you can store stuff for 24 hours or, a certain amount of time, so that it automatically, decontaminates itself. The thing, yeah. Now, what happens is, that's the first one. Then the point is that, where you take your shoes off and where you take your outer attire off, that's another place. Like the cloakrooms and the courtrooms we used to have in European homes, that's come out all over the world almost, because people need to take off, shed their outer clothing, and then walk into their homes, remove their shoes and walk in. What else is happening is that, there is a certain amount of space. Like sometimes a couple, the husband, wife, is working, they have their own corners within their spaces. They need their own actual spaces without any acoustic reverberation, no issues of glare coming in from the daylight windows, because if you face a window, you basically the glare is good, on a online on an online screen. But if you've got the glare coming from the back and you've got a sunlit window behind you, you're in dark. You're absolutely in the darkness, right? Because of the light design. So lighting design has become critical. The children in a family are basically also studying. They're also online. They need to have their own spaces. So there's a lot of acoustic design, lighting design that's coming into spaces. People are wanting smaller areas where they have their own work zones, and then they come out and emerge into a more comfortable lounge area where the family gets together. That's the norm now. People want lounges, they want comfortable furniture because they've been sitting on these, very straight back sort of, environments with with screens, and they want to look at nature. So balconies, terraces, gardens, these are key parameters now for selecting or buying or purchasing homes. What are your views? How do you de-stress yourself? Wellness and working online has become key to people. That's how I think it's moving. There's a lot of demand for these kind of things. Luxury homes have increased a lot. The people who are buying, like Amit says, buying abroad, they're buying now here because they've realized that the family needs a space away from the cities. So, I think there's going to be a huge disruption. It already has started. It's been ongoing for a long time. We're going to have to be nimble-footed and adaptable to these changes. That's how I think it's going to move forward.
Picking up from where Arjun said, Amit, the parameters he applied for homes is what I guess is being applied for in hotels also. You don't want to live in one building hotel where, anybody can be infected, but hotels and the luxury sector also going in for, say, like cottages instead of one big building, or, are you seeing that kind of change also coming in?
Yes, indeed. So Priya, first of all, just to add on, what Arjun said, people are also looking for, a home office within their home, because that is where most of the time, one is spending during the day. So with all the tech space and the screen and the, video conferencing facilities, etc. And the second thing is a wellness area, dedicated wellness area. So we've seen most of our clients wanting to have, a home gym, which they can use every single day, because going to gymnasium also becomes, during lockdown periods, a challenge. So these are two things. I just wanted to add on, what all Arjun said. I fully agree with him on those things. And thus, yes, on your question of holiday homes, people are wanting these kind of things within those hotel premises and holiday home. There is a good trend where people have started giving up their villas or their holiday homes into a shared pool, timeshare pool, where large chains are managing those properties, and some time the owner can spend, typically about 3 to 4 weeks in a year, and rest of the time these hotel chains, people like Taj and many other such brands, are managing those places. That's a global phenomena where a lot of brands, even like Four Seasons and all, they manage properties for clients and they let it out. So these facilities are being embedded into the design when they are conceptualized.
But Reshmi, in terms of work now, do you find, you spoke about meetings via Zoom and all, but, a lot of businesses need that face-to-face brainstorm. We need that interaction. Does that happen in your workspace also? Is, sometimes face-to-face works better?
Absolutely. And for a large number of reasons, it's obviously, we have to meet our clients, and to pitch new work and to win new work, you need to be, meeting people can be far more effective. But also, mentoring young employees. Remember, all of us here have been in an office environment for years before we move to work from home. So we know what professionalism looks like, what to do when you have a challenge at work. There are many young employees in organizations who are starting their careers in the middle of this pandemic. They've never known any other environment. They don't know how to be mentored, and their managers don't know how to mentor them remotely. And then thirdly, the other challenge we find faced of not being face to face is how do you build an organization culture without ever meeting, right? So whether your organization's culture is meritocratic or flat or casual, I mean, how do you, or your organization's values, much harder to inculcate those remotely. So I think I have to applaud organizations who've generally been very quick in putting employee welfare first, right, and moving to work from home and being very understanding. But I think organizations still have a long way to go to make sure how do we then meet these gaps of mentorship, business development, culture building, so on and so forth. So I think at our workplace, for example, the office very much has now become like a point where you come to check in with your employees. So the key research work and the actual job happens at home, but you come into the office for your weekly meetings, catch up on meals, the water cooler conversations, which are just not going to happen remotely. So I think the office is going to be very much like your sort of check-in point, your club that you go to, and then you work from home. I think because the days of 9 to 5 working from the office, I feel are now gone.
Very nice way of putting it. And let me tell our viewers, Reshmi is based in Singapore, though we've caught her while she's here for a winter holiday. But she's actually working from there. Arjun, so we discussed how homes are being adapted to for the working style. But what about leisure? Because we can't even go out for that holiday, so we have to find it within the within our borders or within our homes or within our country.
Right. Sure. A lot of people are going for natural destinations. The USP is nature. Game reserves, estates with large forested zones, hill stations, coastal areas. Basically where nature is at its best, pristine environments. People are even wanting to drive because they think that that's a good way to go. Of course, time is a serious parameter for this. People fly in, but they are going to places which are spread out, where the luxury levels are of service, sanitation. These are prime factors for governing where you're going for a holiday destination. The family needs to be together. The food has to be excellent, of course, but the environment has to be conducive to unwinding. People want to just spend time, where, I mean, a lot of golf has started up wherever it can. But, what's happening is that people find that they've been restricted within their homes for so long that they want to break free. They want to be able to walk. They want to be able to move around. They want to be able to see vistas, walk near water, lakes, etc. So Indians have moved into the rural zones where service is available. People don't mind going to a basic home in a hilly environment with a beautiful view, with no neighbors, but managing to rough it out for their services, so long as they can cook. So cooking is a big stress remover. People have started increasing what is known as the wines have shot up. The sales of wines have shot up. Of course. So there is different ways of people unwinding, and I think that people have started going for smaller holidays with very few people. You are very, very, very happy entertaining your close friends and family in your home rather than going for a large gathering or a large social party. People prefer, they have value of time and value of now relationships which have come through. You will make a call and gather with people who you value and who you respect, etc. You don't have to go and meet hundreds of people anymore. The youngsters will of course not agree to that. They are still wanting to go out and party, but some of them are hopefully very, very responsible, and I hope they are.
But Arjun, I read earlier millennials did not want to own homes. Even they would rather rent a home. They would even rather rent the furniture, not buy anything. But now, because of pandemic, do they now want to own homes? Do you find that changing?
So I think that trend is still there because they don't understand the value of capital investment into a home yet. I think they are more into, I want to spend on what I wish to spend for. I don't want to lock in capital. And Amit may be the right person to talk about the sales of how millennials are buying up luxury developments because they have the money. That the disruptive tech entrepreneurs have a lot of money. There is so much of there is so much of money, $1 trillion economies coming up in the virtual world, where youngsters are buying real estate which doesn't exist. It's on decentral land, etc. But I think millennials will continue to spend money on services and products. I don't think they will invest into serious real estate initially, but yes, they will see the longevity and the reason for it. So I think Amit will be able to share more, value on this as per the sales.
Very good point, though, Arjun. The fact that because of limiting, travel in the real world, people are moving on to the virtual world. I think that
That's
may be a
right.
topic for another conversation soon.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's a good. Amit, so you take up from where Arjun's, the point, are millennials, have their attitudes changed? Because as you said, they are the ones with a lot of spending money also.
Absolutely, Priya. And that's a great question indeed. You see, millennials globally, yes, they want to remain asset light. That's the trend that we've seen across our offices. We are present in about 73 countries, and we do collect data, and did a survey some years ago where these findings are very much true. At the same time, India is a very somewhat a different situation, where even millennials, large portion of them, these millennials want to own at least a primary home, if not the secondary, in their primary city of residence, because they do have dependent members in the family, right? Unlike the Western world, where most of the family members are independent and they work, right? And also elderly parents who may be retired, etc. So the primary home is still something that most of the millennials in India wish to own, and we also do advise them. And some of their advisors, we've seen advising them on these lines.
And also, you also handle Sri Lanka. So is it very different out there? And also, have you done any COVID surveys for, on the real estate sector that you could share with us?
Yes, we have done some surveys, and the results are going to be out, in fact, in the first week of January, and then we plan to do.
You're not giving us a sneak preview?
Some reviews, but I can give you some preview that holiday homes is going to remain. That's a big trend. Most of HNIs and ultra HNIs are wanting to own holiday homes within India, and that's where they would be spending a lot of time. We've seen in the surveys that on an average, people do want to continue work from home at least few days in a week, even going forward for some years, right? And it's more than work from home, going to remain work from anywhere culture.
The real estate sector, is it going for bust, or is it on a revival? Because construction is halting, or at least prices are rising. Are people preferring ready to move in homes rather than under construction? How is that impacted?
Okay, so I'll answer both the questions. First is, yes, there is a buzz, and I'm quite bullish on the real estate market as a whole. And there are three reasons for that. First and foremost, last 9 years, real estate market has been sluggish. Prices have been down across India. On an average, they would be down some 25 to 30% in terms of price. And today, interest rates, mortgage rates are all-time low, and equity markets are all-time high. So that's the second reason, which should really stimulate the real estate market. And third, we all do spend significantly high time at our home as we used to do pre-COVID times, right? So the importance of home has gone up, and there is a need for people to upgrade their homes. That's what we see with most families. So all three reasons give me, indications that market is up for a run, especially the residential market.
And, so Reshmi, in terms of work, have you started doing work, in terms of some verticals differently, or is there some new verticals that have been added? It doesn't have to be pertaining to the real estate sector, but the work you do really.
I mean, a lot of what we do, of course, have been rapidly digitized. So that is the buzzword. So not only are we digitizing, what we were doing previously, but now doing it differently. But also new digital products and services, whether it's artificial intelligence related or data analytics related, cryptocurrency advisory, so on and so forth. There's been fintech, there's been advisory around areas which didn't exist 5 years ago, or have been vastly, accelerated because of COVID. But the one thing we see in terms of physical presence of our offices because of COVID is This whole model that existed before COVID was this fly in, fly out model. You could have an office in Singapore, run Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia out of that office, or within India, have one office and you travel. Again, I think that has changed. Mobility is now much less. People don't just get up and, those days of saying, I've taken 5 flights in 5 days used to be a very glamorous thing to do and say. Again, very hard to achieve. So one is, we as an organization are now thinking, how do you decentralize your operations? You need more presence on the ground physically in your key markets. So which obviously means not only office spaces in those markets, but also recruiting talent in those markets. Because often we could, talent used to be mobile, and it's still we have to wait to see how COVID will impact that. Will people move very far away from their hometowns to take jobs very far away, right? I mean, COVID again brought this reprioritization of amongst again young people saying we want to be close to our parents, our extended families. We want to be able to travel back to see them. So I think attracting talent and where we put offices are sort of now, we're thinking of those things very differently post-COVID.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, all of you, for this conversation. I think we've taken a look at various business verticals and living spaces in a COVID continuous world. And I see the conversation, everything is moving towards the digital, the virtual world, really. So that's a conversation I may call you all back for later. But thank you for now for this conversation. Thanks.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.